Now, it was the day of Pentecost, and all those people who believed that Jesus was alive again were gathered together in one room. And as they were there together, a wind started to blow. But not a wind from outside. It was a wind that blew inside the house. It blew in every room in the house. And the believers wondered what was going on. And then suddenly there was fire. But not the kind of fire that burnt up the house. It just sort of moved around the room, and the fire separated out so that each person had their own fire falling upon them. And then the Spirit took over them, and they started to speak in different languages. And each of them spoke of the great deeds of God. And the languages were words they'd never used before. Some were, others were, and some were just all sorts of different, I'm not sure they all sounded like chickens, but all sorts of different languages. Well, they were making such a noise that, well, outside, out of the window, the people passing by started to stop and wonder, well, what's going on up there? And a crowd started to gather. And they could all hear people in the room singing and shouting the praises of God. And they said, wow, this is amazing, a room full of people singing the praises of God. And then they realized that, well, everyone was from a different place. You see, they'd all gathered to celebrate Pentecost. And there were some there from North Africa, from different countries there, some from Rome, some from Israel, from down the south, from up the north, some from more Turkey way, some over towards Syria, some off to where we now call Iraq, over Babylon way. They were from all over different parts of the world, and they couldn't really speak to each other because they didn't understand each other's languages, but they all understood the praises of God that were coming from the room where the believers were. They couldn't believe it. They said, this is amazing. How come these people are singing the praises of God and we all understand them, even though we all speak different languages? But not everybody was impressed. Oh no, some of them were stood there with their arms folded or their hands on their hips, and they said, this is just nonsense. They're not speaking different languages. They've been drinking. They've been drinking too much new wine. They're all drunk. I would just ignore them. Well, by now, Peter, who was one of the believers, had gone to the crowd to see what they were saying, to see what they were thinking, and he overheard what they were saying, and he had to get their attention. He said, "Wait. Listen, everybody, these people, they're not drunk, as some of you are saying. No, it's only 9 o'clock in the morning. They haven't had time to get drunk. No, this is what the prophet Joel spoke about," said Peter. And he started to speak from the old writings from years and years ago. The prophet Joel said, "In those days I will pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall speak the praises of God, and they shall prophesy on men and women, rich and poor, servants. Everyone who calls upon the name of the Lord will be saved." So, the people there wanted to know more, and Peter continued to tell them not only about the praises of God, but to tell them about how Jesus was alive, and the Holy Spirit had now come upon those who believed.